Novi, Michigan at the Motor City FurCon, and I have Callen Snyder, who just performed at Furry's Got Talent. Callen, the audience was entirely wowed by your music. How did you get involved in music?
I started singing basically since the time I could talk, and my mom noticed my desire to do music, my desire to sing, and so she put me in lessons early on. Not voice though, she put me in guitar lessons, I did drum lessons, I did cello lessons, so I was in a whole bunch of different things. She kept me in sports too, so she tried to keep me well-rounded, but singing was where my passion was, and it wasn't until about high school when I was doing solo ensemble for choir that you have to be studying with a teacher, and she was like, well, you don't need voice lessons, you don't need them, you're good. Well, it wasn't when I started taking voice lessons, my voice just exploded. Right. She didn't realize that voice lessons isn't to teach you to be good, it's to teach you to properly use your voice to the best of its ability.
Right.
And so she was just blown away. And so ever since then, you know, even since little, I've been pursuing a career in music, and then I got involved in acting when I was in the 8th grade, and I've been doing that as well ever since. So
what roles have you played?
Well, I played. Let's go back. Okay, my first role ever was a dungeon master in this 8th grade play. I had this really funny monologue, you know, and I had my pants all hiked up really high and these glasses, like super stereotypical nerd, you know. But I was the leader of the nerd group, and but I've played Benny South Street in Guys and Dolls. I was in. I was Reverend John Hale in The Crucible. I was Oliver in Oliver Twist. So that was a lot of fun because I was an 18-year-old playing a 13-year-old. Yeah. So I had to go through tons of training. I had to go learn how to speak with a Cockney accent. I had to learn how to raise my basal tone so I could sound like a 13-year-old, and then sing with all of that at the same time. And that was in high school. I mean, it was intense training, but no, I've loved it. Last night, the last show that I did was an opera, and it was actually 4 operas combined into one. And so my characters were Count Almaviva from The Barber of Seville, and I was Don Curzio in The Marriage of Figaro. And so that was a lot of fun. That was at Madonna University.
So is music your major?
I'm actually not currently in school. I did when I graduated from high school. I went to Henry Ford Community College, and I studied vocal music performance. I got a scholarship, and I did that for a year. Not living in district, it got expensive, and so I had to leave the school because I couldn't afford tuition. And so I went to a community college in my city, School Cap College, and I studied marketing. I did that for about half a semester and decided that marketing wasn't my thing. You know, my heart is in the arts, and so marketing just wasn't it. So I dropped out halfway through the semester, paid my mom back for all of the classes and the books, and decided I'm going to major in theater. And so I majored in theater for a semester, and it was a lot of fun. It was nice, but you know, acting and singing aren't necessarily careers that you need a degree for.
Right.
And so I do want to go back to school. I want to get my degree, but I want it to be something practical. And so I'm going back for language because I'm a big language person. I love foreign languages. I've studied 10+ languages. I can only speak English and Spanish fluently, but I can speak basic French, German, Italian, Lithuanian, and lots of other things.
Very cool.
And so I want to go back to school for language, and you know, I'm going to keep pursuing the music and the acting, but just as a backup plan, you know, possibly do something with translating or something like that.
Very cool.
Thank you.
So, do you have any current projects going on in regards to your music or acting?
Well, I just finished the opera, which has taken up a good chunk of my time. But now I'm working with a guy to produce my EP, just to try and get a few songs kind of simply recorded, not anything super elaborate, just to try and get them out to, you know, management companies or labels and stuff like that to see where that goes. I've tried to put bands together a couple times, and you know, just getting a bunch of people with the same goal and the same dream and the same, you know, path to get there is really difficult.
Right.
You know, or even people with the same commitment level to the group is really difficult. So it's just really been on and off. But you know, I've never stopped it. I do small town performances in cafes and stuff just to keep my name out there. So.
Right. So where do you plan to go from here?
From here, well, this performance was awesome. This was probably one of the greatest crowds I've performed for, and you know, so I'm hoping that maybe this could spark something. I would love to perform at larger venues. My biggest goal for years has just been to record an album. I've written a 13-song album that is also a concept album, so the album itself tells a story as you go through it.
Very cool.
And I've tried multiple times to get it recorded. You know, it's a hard industry, obviously. But that's my biggest dream, really, is just to have the album recorded. But if it took off and I managed to, you know, have a full-time career doing music, that would be awesome. Another dream of mine is to perform at the Palace of Auburn Hills. I would love that. So yeah.
I like to end my interviews with offering the interviewee the chance to tell something weird and wonderful about themselves.
Okay.
So.
Well, talking about the languages, and since I've studied so many, I've always had a fascination with them. And so when I watched movies like Star Wars or Lord of the Rings, where there's these fictional languages, all I could think about was somebody had to create that. Somebody had to sit down and actually formulate a new language. And so I told myself, I said, you know, if they can do it, so could I. And so I created, over the course of 6 years and counting, a fictional language called Bristolic, named after the street I live on. And so it's basically just a combination of all the different languages I've studied. And so you'll have times where it'll sound very Italian, times it'll sound very Arabic, other times it'll sound Oriental. And so it's a really cool combination of sounds when you're listening to it. And I'm actually working with a director and screenplay writer who wants to do a short film in this language. So he's been writing the script, and then I've been translating it into my language. So we'll hopefully have that filmed probably this year or next. It should be awesome.
So can you give us a little bit of a flavor of the language?
If I want to sound Italian, I could say I'm sick, which is ungo fragazza, which is I'm sick. If you're going to sound Arabic, I could say it's really windy outside, and that's jata'at dechibek lebachiv. And if you're going to have, I don't know, something pretty standard, I guess, you know, like I want to go to the restaurant, would be kadroita yaga magralo, would be how that sounds. So I wanted it to be something that was fictional, still potentially speakable, you know, that people could speak it if they wanted to learn it. And when I first created the language...
How would you say, don't look now, but there's a big furry dog with a waffle behind you?
Oh, I have to think about that one.
Well, I was just looking over your shoulder, and there was one just waving his waffle around. I'm not even
surprised. No, this is a cool group of people, but...
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You don't have to translate that.
I don't even know if I have words for most of those, actually. Like I said, it's a work in progress, so, you know, even just translating the script, I've had to come up with tons of words I would have never even thought about, but it's been a cool process.
Very cool. Now, is there anything you'd like to close with, like a website, Facebook page?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm in a lot of different social medias, so people are welcome to follow me on Twitter. It's just @Callen Snyder. On Instagram, it's just Callen Snyder, all lowercase. And you can go to Facebook, www.facebook.com/Callen Snyder, capital C, capital S, and it'll take you right to my Facebook page. I would love to get some likes. I love your support, so that'd be awesome.
Okay, so sorry, the dog and the guy running by with the waffle just
it just derails that train of thought every time.
Exactly. Well, thank you so much, Callen, and from the Sheraton Hotel in Novi for the Motor City Comic Con, this has been the Weird Review.
Thank you.